this barely fits in the field of view on a view. It barely fits on this table. So here's this huge case. Pretty nice, right? No DVD-ROM in it. You know, it's magnetic. Someone stuck the MSI logo on here. I don't believe that was on this to begin with. I think, isn't this a NZXT case? I'm thinking it is. Yeah, it's an NZXT case. Let's start off a little different this time. Yeah, it even says NZXT here. So, this computer here was listed as that it didn't power on. So I'm guessing it doesn't work. We don't know what's wrong with it, but my winning bid on this was only $13.99. You're like, oh, that's really, really good. Like, there's a small dent here on the case. Well, that's a good price. Basically paid more than double for shipping. So shipping came to $34.61. I was like, oh, this is a pretty nice case. I could probably clean it up. I didn't notice this dent on it. So that can be fixed, hopefully, because this is pretty thick metal. Yeah, $34.61 for shipping. Tax was, it has 0 for handling. Okay, that's pretty good. And then tax was 98 cents. So my grand total for this computer is $49.58. Like, you know, otherwise I thought it was a really good deal because I didn't notice this. This can be fixed. This is a case that I plan on putting the X99 system in. A guy I buy parts from all the time says that he has a 6950 or something. I'm believing that we'll work on this on my X99 board, so hopefully I can get that and it'd be an upgrade for that system. It's like a 12 core 24 thread CPU or something like that. Well, just get into this. So one thing I didn't notice with the ad, that's why it's setting like this, is I'm gonna start by opening this. The CPU cooler was off. They took the CPU cooler off so they can see it, and I know it's right. It's in here rattling around. They didn't reattach it for some reason. And the fans are like taped in, and like someone cut their own extension, so I have to undo this tape real fast, right? So all it is, this is just painter's tape. I guess that's good. I don't know why. Oh, I just kind of just slid out of there really easy. I guess that's why they had the tape on there. Looks like one of the coolers, one of the fans they have. Just drop this on the floor. Okay, unhook both of these. So you see what I mean right here with the dent right here, and then it does have a fan here, but they hooked it right here like this instead of down here. I actually have extra of these little fans. That's pretty nice. I don't know why they did that. I would have left it right here. Just check this out. Already did notice two things. Just taking it out, you know, like a extra offset for like a longer motherboard was off, like floating around. Like, can you see that? Like right there. And a little piece of plastic from probably the front or somewhere in here. And the cooler's just setting in here. You know, I was talking to a guy that I do buy parts from, and I was like, yeah, maybe they just, since they said it didn't power on, they just didn't care and they just left it floating around in here. But they went over top. The box was like probably 4 foot high box. As a box where they just left the flaps folded up and then put another one. So they put the computer in one box, left the flaps up, bubble wrapped all the way around here, but except in the front, then threw more bubble wrap in there, and put, you know, that went into the box, and then they just slid another box over top of that, and then put like 3 or 4 pieces of tape holding that box on, but it was on there good because of suction. Like, I had a hard time sliding the box up this way, like, out of it. So, besides, you know, the cooler being off, let's get my flashlight. So, the cooler being off, don't really see any scratches in it, and the cooler doesn't. The CPU cooler doesn't look damaged. All the tabs are on here. And this is an i7 4670K. We have two DIMM slots, and both are occupied with RAM. It looks pretty nice. You know, that's the main reason I kind of got it too. I was like, oh, it has, at least has a nice RAM in it. So we have this RAM here. You see that? But let's see what it is. So it says 8 gigs. It says 2 by 4. So I kind of was like, oh, 8 gigs is 16. But we have 8 gigs of RAM. So it's 2 times 4 gigs. So we have 4 gigs. We have 4 gigs of RAM in it. Let's check this video card out. Screwdriver way over here. So, you know, I do have more RAM set in here just in case this RAM doesn't work. I have another power supply down here. I'm really hoping the, like maybe it's a CPU. Yeah, it's a 4690K. But I also have this CPU here that I was going to upgrade to a different computer, but then never upgraded it. But this is just an i5 4590. So, if, you know, I'd have the parts. You know, if it's a motherboard or power supply, I guess I do have a power supply. This board is going to go into my uncle's old computer. The case-wise, I'm going to put this motherboard if it works. You know, if it doesn't, it's fine. I'm really hoping that what I want to work is the power supply, the video card, the RAM, and the motherboard. Or it all works. You know, I'm going to put the heatsink on here for now, for temporary, to see if it actually, what it does when I try to power it on. One other thing I noticed that they didn't put in the listing was that we have a pretty bad damaged SATA cable. This is a clip piece that goes on, right? But this is an old, oh, I keep saying that, an SSD. It's an SSD now 200. It's a 90 gig SSD. So that's, the listing didn't say that. Kind of sounds broken inside. I do hear stuff rattling around in there. Oh, well, not anymore. Well, you hear that? So that's probably no good. But there is a Samsung SSD in here too. What is this? And that one looks like 120 gig, and that's still plugged in. So maybe it wasn't booting because that drive is no good. You can hear that. You should be able to hear it on the. So they did take it off properly. I don't know why they didn't reattach it. I guess it's the same reason why the other ones, you know, thought it's cool to put the, you know, this little PCI bracket on it. That made me upset because I thought it killed the motherboard, but only thing it damaged was the video card. So I'm going to set this on here for now, just to have this guy setting up here and have a cooler on here. If it works, obviously I won't leave it booted up that long, but I'd rather have it sitting on there. At least it can do something. We're just gonna, you know, plug this in and see. Case has USB 3, and you can see the things on it. And it has a fan header on the front, so you just go. Almost forgot to talk about that. Oh, golly. So right here you can see it has a eSATA plug, a USB 3, and a USB 2, and then your power button, the LEDs here. And then over here on this other side is for your fans, so you can ramp them up or down if you want. A decent scratch right here. That wasn't in the listing, but hopefully I can get that out of there. You do have a 200 mil fan on the top, a 120 in the back, and then two 120s that were on that side. And it's got some kind of like filter stuff that has a smell to it on both sides of here. Yeah, and you can see the cable here, just this end's broke. That's what this piece here is on there. It looks like all the drive caddies are in here, so they're quick release. You just do like that, you squeeze them in. That's all in there. Everything else seems to be good, so just try to power this on and actually see what it does. If it turns on or not. And, the header's way over here. Is that even the right one? Huh. That's weird. But yeah, just try to power it on. Just kind of zoom that in. This is set to DVI, so we have DVI plug. I don't know what the video card is. Guess we can check that out real fast first. Because obviously reseating this is probably gonna maybe. Definitely need a longer screw, and they put the holes there for it. So let me grab that when I put it back in. So yeah, this is the cooler that came with the Dark Rock 4 Pro. It actually comes in pretty handy. Obviously, there's a screw hole right here to go in here, but see, this one is not gonna fit in there, so we use that. And I want to see what the video card is, so I guess you can pause it at this part. Like, leave your guess what this video card is. AMD NVIDIA's red. So okay, now we're on the back. It says it is, I have no idea. Numbers right here say it is AX 5450, so it's a AMD 5450, 1 gig video card, passively cooled, and we have VGA, HDMI, and DVI. Looking at the board, it looks fine. Everything looks to be in working order. Nothing's, burned up, nothing like that. It isn't too dusty either. Looked like they did have a different video card in here due to the way the, dust is on the board. Indicates like where the fan would have been on a different card. Put this screw back in here though. They don't even need the long screw. They just don't need this super tight. Can you still see? Yeah, you can see the monitor. Okay. I'm always worried about if you can't see the monitor or not. But at least the monitor picks up that we did plug something into it. And here is the keyboard and mouse. So I want to kind of double check. And in the back we have 2 USB 2s on the top, and then 2 USB 3.0s, then HDMI, VGA, 2 more USB 2s, Ethernet, and then the audio, and then the video card. And this is a Seasonic. It says a 520 watt power supply. We got 3 cables coming out. Okay, we have. Okay, so I'm guessing one of them goes to the eSATA plug, and then the other 2 went for the SSD. Power switch is off. So now the power switch is on, but obviously there's no LEDs. Power button was up here. It's turning on to me. Like, okay, it doesn't power on, but it just powered on, and you know, boot manager just says that. Okay, what doesn't work about it? They said it didn't turn on. Did I just get another lucky deal? You know, like I said, I paid $49.95 for this whole system, and it is powering on. Grab the keyboard and see what the heck is up. I think it's off. Just turn it on. Just hit enter and see what happens. I guess they didn't wipe the drive because they thought it didn't power on. But we have 8 gigs of RAM and i5 40. So it says install your Windows install disk and start your computer. Change your language settings and then click next. Click repair PC if you do not have the disk. So yeah, it works. Like, maybe the drive, something's corrupted with this SSD, so obviously I have to test this drive, see if it works too. I'll open it though and see what's inside it. Maybe it's just a piece of the plastic from, yeah, the little piece of plastic that's on here. I don't know if you can see that because I try to zoom in. Probably won't be able to tell. Yeah, see that? You can see the connector, so this plastic's broke off. That's why I'm showing you this piece here, like the piece of metal. Maybe that's what's inside here, but then maybe they wouldn't boot because of this. That's the only thing I unhooked. You know, obviously I reseated the RAM and the video card, but, you know, like, turn that off. Everything else seems to be functional, like, so the listing didn't say that the listing clearly said it did not power on. You seen that it powered on. So I'm going to troubleshoot some more off a camera, but the next video of this case, you'll see this case again, because I'm going to put the X99 system into this case, and then this, since the motherboard isn't that high end of a board, I'm going to take the i5 60, what did I say that was? An i5 4690K. I'm going to put that in, you know, into this, and I'm going to put this i5 4590. Yeah, I'm going to put the i5 4590 on to this board, and then obviously I'll keep that 4690K for a different system, because this isn't that good of a motherboard. There's like no, the VRMs are not that good. Yeah, overall the board isn't that nice, so I'm not going to keep a K CPU in this board. Since it obviously works, you know, I'll put that CPU in it and I'll test it for a little longer. But, you know, the next part of this, the next part of this, I'm going to troubleshoot the OS and actually get this to boot off another hard drive. And that hard drive's a little slow, so I'll do that now. You know, I'll set that up and then I'll start recording so we can see the system actually boot up and run into Windows. Okay, here comes the next part. I'm still zoomed way in, but yeah, now at this point, what do you think? You like this case? I like it. You know, I think it has no fan in the front, so it should have a fan in the front too. I think it's a 200 mil fan normally up there. But here comes the next part. Once I get either that drive fixed or my 80 gig test drive. So, okay. Okay, so this is going to be a slightly different view. Can't really see. So there you go. You see how small the motherboard sets in here? Obviously now you're going to see a shadow because I put this light in the wrong area. But if I put it over here, you get the glare on the screen. Yeah, right here, I guess decent. So the motherboard's working, everything's good. You can see here I got it booted into the utility thing, you know, the bootable CD, you know, CD, the Windows 10. I do have an updated version of it, but obviously, you know, I haven't switched this one. I wanted to test the other one, make sure everything functioned right. And that's on a USB 2 drive, but it's up and running. This is the other drive that was in it. This is 120 gig. It does show up when I had it hooked in, you know, into here, you know, like, so this drive shows up. It just doesn't have an operating system on it, at least not functioning one. So, but this drive here, my assumptions were right. It's a solid piece of metal though, man. Like, you know, the people say SSDs don't go bad. Well, there's definitely something wrong with this one. So I'll show you what it does. Like, I'll shut this down. One other thing I want to mention too is, you can see it like on my hand, but there's a switch in the back. I was wondering what that was for. It runs the LEDs on the top fan here. They're blue. So this 200 mil fan has 4 LEDs on it that light up blue. So you just cut that off like that. I do have the fans set pretty high, I guess. So we'll leave that one in here. Well, we'll unplug that. First I tested it because it was out. And obviously the connector, which I threw down here, the connector was broke right there. So I was guessing maybe the drive worked, but something was wrong. But the piece that was rattling in it was, I just dropped. That sounded really good, didn't it? Yeah. Was this piece here, which is just the, you know, the other piece of this plus the metal thing there. So it wasn't metal rattling there. In here, nothing in there now. So I got a longer cable for the SATA, and here is. I was hoping that, you know, like this drive would work, and we'd end up with 2 SSDs. I could still use a 90 gig SSD for something. So I turn the power switch on. It should go to the drive or not work at all, right? So you see on the monitor, the power LED is on up here. Oh, well, now it is actually. Okay, I'm dumbfounded. Like, when I tested this just a minute ago, it didn't go into an operating. It just basically, you minus this part, the screen was lighting up, but none of this was here. So you saw, I guess maybe it's not broken. Maybe something else was wrong. So you just hook in this. Let's try it again. Obviously there's no OS on here. I think it kind of shut off, didn't it? So yeah, it's working now. Okay, so when I hooked it up first, like I said, all I got was the you could tell the monitor was on, but it didn't post anywhere farther than that. Now it's fine. So I'm gonna run the utility now and see if it's gonna show up or not. And I tried this one. I tried this first, so it's a USB to this, so you can clone your drives or just use this like a backup drive. You know, you have a pretty much a faster USB. You know, that's been pretty good for me. Instead of running something like this, I can run it off that drive. But I did notice it flickered. Like when I plugged this drive in, it showed up for a minute and then it just disappeared. And each time it did that, the OS kind of, because it's running all the USB ports, he would kind of, the icons that are over here that show up would disappear, show back up. Once I unhooked this again, it stopped doing that. So that's why I assumed this drive was not working. Maybe it's just completely bad right now. It leaded to a message come in while I'm recording, like usual. I don't get it. I don't get a lot of messages on that phone. Yeah, everything seems to be fine. Like this drive, it tells me, it shows up, but it tells me it needs to be formatted. I think it was. Yeah, it shows me it needs to be formatted. So I'll try to not get in the way of the camera. Move this, slide this over. Yeah, see, yeah, it's showing up. It's showing up, right? Is that? Yeah, it's showing up now as being having an OS on it. So just try to use the utilities to see if we can just do the Windows recovery thing. Yeah, and see one-click fix. Usually does a trick. Like we just, you know, fixed all this. You just restart it and see what happens. Finish. I'll shut it down because I don't want it to boot into that drive. So just, hopefully I'm not in the camera's way. Shut this down. I'll pull that thumb drive out once it shuts off. Seems like the fans work pretty good, at least the one that's hooked here and the one on the top. I don't think none of these have LEDs on it besides the one. Yeah, none of these do. And these fans are a 3-pin, not a Molex. So I remove that drive. Just try it again. Just try powering it on and see what happens. I'm sure it has Windows 7 on it. Or it's going to say no boot device found. Still no boot device found. Okay, so as you can see, the system is fully working. Like, I did take the i5 4690K out, and I put the i5 4590 in it. Since this isn't that good of a motherboard, I can give you a better look at it. You know, like put my light on it now. Like you can see it's not. You know, it's not the best motherboard. It is a MSI H81M E33. So it isn't that good of a motherboard and looks odd in this case, especially with it being red and then that black. If it was black, it wouldn't look so bad because, you know, if this area was all black, the motherboard's black, it kind of would blend in a little bit. Still looks weird having a small one in it, but I could live with that. But being red interior with that small of a board kind of looks weird. But power supply seems to be working fine. The motherboard seems to work fine. The RAM works fine. You know, I know the CPU runs good. The other CPU still worked. You know, I didn't do too much stress tests, but if it's faulty, then it's good. I'm just replacing it. But it boots and runs. for a computer that doesn't turn on, works perfectly fine. Maybe they were getting the same issue I was getting with this drive plugged in, but maybe it was a cable, maybe, I don't know. That just seems to be doing fine now. Obviously you'll see an update of this system again after I put this motherboard in its new home, into its new, well, it's going to be a used case, but once it's in there I'll do a short video of the update of it. I don't know how good that video card is. I'll probably leave the video card in it. The RAM, everything the same. Power supply even too. I might do a different power supply for this system too though. Depends on what my price budget range to get back out of it is. You know, I should be able to even just put this in a new case with this 120 and break even, so it would make this case where I have no money into the case. What do you think? Leave that in the comments below. Should I just, stick this with this power? Should I, should I use this power supply on this motherboard and the video card and the RAM? Obviously I'm gonna pull this out, put it into a different case, because this is gonna be the X99 systems case. But yeah, should I just look for a cheaper power supply? I could even add the 340 watt Seasonic power supply I have. I do have that 350 watt. I can add that 350 watt to this motherboard and combo here. That'd be good. That other power supply I think is way underrated for what it says. But yeah, what do you think? And I'm gonna call it at this, and then the next video you see, unless I figure something else out with this case, will be the X99 system in it, and this motherboard will be in a different case. Thank you for watching, and like I said, I got this for really cheap because they said it didn't turn on, but you can see it turns on. It's saying there's no boot device found, but it turns on. I run off my utility, it works. It boots into an OS. So, and the drives show up. So it isn't like the SATA controller is bad, the drives show up. But yeah, I'm gonna call it at that. This system's really nice. I'm pleased about it. The X99 system's gonna look really good in here. I'll just have to fix the dent on the side panel and clean it up really good. Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. Thank you for watching.